Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Adam W. Rodriguez, and this is the Art of R. I am doing my own tag. It is called the Heavy Metal Tag, Part 1, The Band. Thunderbolts, lightning, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. All right, cool. So I've made it to where it is 6 questions, 6 prompts, and some of the questions have 2 parts. I want to mix together music and books. I really enjoy a lot of the tags that I've seen that kind of melds these 2 concepts together. So here we go. This is my first tag that I'm sending out into the YouTubeverse, and so I do hope that you enjoy. Let's get right on to it. Yeah, let's get right on to it. Okay, here we go. I'm all hyped up, you guys. Question number 1. The vocals will liquefy your brain. Name a book where you particularly loved the narrator's voice or point of view. Also, name one of your favorite singers. It doesn't have to be a metal singer, but I'm going to be doing nothing but metal musicians for this particular tag because it is so metal. All right, so the book that I enjoyed the narrator's voice, I am going to pick Kurt Vonnegut. I really like his style. I've only read one of his books, and that was Slaughterhouse-5. It's an excellent book. It deals with like anti-war themes and, you know, the inevitability of death. There's time travel and there's humor, and it's all tied together very nicely. Kurt Vonnegut was one of those guys that I was hesitant to read for a long time, mostly because Kurt Vonnegut fans were like kind of snobby about it, and now I'm snobby about it. Now I am the snob. All right. But Slaughterhouse-5 by Kurt Vonnegut, great book. You should totally read it. It's very short, and the voice that he has in there has just kind of this. There's an intellectualness to it, but it's all very approachable, and it's sprinkled with humor and just kind of this very easy to digest some of the more strange topics in it. It's a great style, and now I understand why so many people like Kurt Vonnegut. Awesome. But my favorite singer, or one of my favorite singers, I've been doing a bunch of these music style videos, tags, and I have yet to mention this guy, and I think I need to mention him now, and that is Rob Halford from Judas Priest. He is such an incredible frontman and vocalist. He's one of those guys who's up on par with dudes like Ronnie James Dio and Bruce Dickinson. He's very operatic in his style. And this guy can hit like these crazy falsettos and these hardcore growly lows. His range is amazing. Cats who likes to drive a motorcycle on stage, and he like whips it, and he wears lots of leather and spikes. And Rob Halford actually came out as gay in 1998, and he spent a lot of those early 1970s 1980s years just being, you know, hiding his sexuality. And he was really worried about losing a lot of his fans when he came out. And honestly, doesn't look like it put much of a dent in his fans. I mean, that is because metalheads are some of the best people that you will ever know. Rob Halford, he is a total badass. Badass. Yes. All right, cool. Question number 2. The guitars are screaming. Name a book where a character plays a stringed instrument of any kind. And although the piano is technically a percussion instrument, I will also count pianos as a stringed instrument, because pianos are just small hammers hitting strings. So it is also partially a stringed instrument. You see what I'm saying? So, also, the second part of the question is to name one of your favorite guitar players. So, first part of the question, I am going to go with the book, The Ballad of Black Tom, by Victor Lavelle. It is such a really cool book. I just recently read it. It is a retelling of The Horror at Red Hook by H.P. Lovecraft, which was one of his more overtly racist books. And it has been retold by a black author with a black main character. That black main character is Black Tom, and he's this cat who walks around and he plays guitar. It's a really, really cool story. And right after I read it, I went back and reread The Horror at Red Hook by H.P. Lovecraft, and it was really cool to see where Victor Lavelle had kind of filled in some of the empty spots in Lovecraft's original work, and also how he reapproached the work and created this burrow without those just kind of harsh, xenophobic, and kind of racist overtones that H.P. Lovecraft had brought to the story. It's a wonderful tale, and it's perfectly haunting, and it's totally has that Lovecraft feel. It's a really, really great story. You should read it. It's wonderful. But the second part of the question is, who is one of my favorite guitar players? And I decided to pick Dimebag Darrell from Pantera. He's an amazing guitar player. Pantera was one of those bands that I discovered in the 90s that was just like so hardcore, and I couldn't get enough of it. In 2004, Dimebag Darrell was shot live on stage by a fan, or just a very disturbed person. It was totally tragic and absolutely insane. One of the things that I heard is that when he was buried, Eddie Van Halen, who is hailed as one of the greatest metal guitar players to have ever lived, who had befriended Dimebag Darrell, Eddie Van Halen put one of his original black and white striped guitars in the coffin with Dimebag Darrell. I mean, how metal is that? Oh, gosh. But he was total badass. Dimebag Darrell. You guys should listen to some Pantera. Pantera is amazing. All right, cool. Question number 3. Oh, the bass crumbles your bones to powder. All right, cool. The question or prompt is to name a book or character that you associate with literal or figurative concussive force. Things like destruction, forceful voices or presence, or even storms. And then name one of your favorite bass players as the second part of the question. So the first part, the character that I think about when I think about like lightning and storms, is the lightning rod salesman from Something Wicked This Way Comes. It's a great book written by Ray Bradbury. Ray Bradbury is an excellent storyteller, and this is one of my favorite ones of his stories. There was a Disney movie done based off of this particular book. It was awesome. It had Jonathan Pryce and Jason Robards, and it was really dark and kick-ass.
Hellfire storms are coming, an electric storm to clean your streets and wash away your trouble.
Where do you come from? The dust. Where do you go to? The grave.
Yes. We are the hungry ones. Your torments call us like dogs in the night. And we do feed. And feed well.
It kind of rings of Needful Things before Needful Things came about, in the Stephen King universe. But it's this really kick-ass story about this dark carnival that comes to town, and all the people start to experience all these horrors, all based off of their own desires. It's an excellent story. It's wonderfully told, and it's got these beautiful relationships in it. Ray Bradbury is one of the best storytellers ever, and he will always be one of my favorites. As to the bass player that I want to name in this prompt is Lemmy from Motorhead. He's a front man, and he's one of the guys who is just synonymous with metal. He is an incredible rock and roller, man. So he passed away, I think, in 2015. But one of the cool things that I heard about after his passing is his ashes, he created bullets and put some of his ashes in the bullets, and they've been passed around to various people. Rob Halford from Judas Priest, the aforementioned badass singer that I talked about, he is an owner of a bullet with the ashes of Lemmy inside of it. I mean, how awesome is that, right? How totally metal is that? Rock and roll, Lemmy. Rock and roll. You'll be forever remembered as one of the greatest rockers ever.
Wanna be a winner, want to be the man, want to make yourself insane, join up with the band. Wanna fall in love, want to make your mark, wanna get out in the storm, want to break the lights and hearts, run out, strike it rich. My, it's a bitch. Run out, I knew you could. Break your heart, shake your blood. Run out, don't you stop. My, like a rock. Run out, it's so good. Break your heart, shake your blood. Shake your blood, shake your blood. Fucking you should.
Question number 4. The drums shall shake your soul to smithereens. Gosh, I really enjoyed making these questions, you guys. These prompts were so much fun. Name a book that was so well paced that you burned through it in no time. And then name one of your favorite metal drummers or drummers in general. I'm gonna pick, as far as the books that were paced so well that I couldn't put them down, is Robert E. Howard's Solomon Kane. He was a pulp author, Robert E. Howard was, and amongst his many characters was Conan the Barbarian and Kull the Conqueror, but Solomon Kane is probably my personal favorite. I mean, other than Kull, I think Solomon Kane is the character that I've read the most of, and it's just because I hungrily read every story I could get my hands on because they were just so easy to read. Solomon Kane is a character who is an ex-pirate, this buccaneer who has repented and become this traveling pilgrim, and he's often like hunting evildoers, and he's very much like a symbol of retribution and justice and stuff like that, which I'm also a huge fan of. It's some of my favorite thematic storytelling, is just people getting justice on bad people, which Solomon Kane is just an embodiment of. And I think Robert E. Howard's writing style is just one of those that you can just burn through really, really quick. And his characters are always so very compelling. He's a wonderful storyteller who creates really, really cool characters. And Solomon Kane is probably one of my favorites of all time. There was a Solomon Kane movie, and it originally premiered in Europe. It stars James Purefoy and Jason Fleming, and it is totally worth watching. Awesome flick.
I am not yet ready for hell.
Come on.
There are many paths to redemption. Not all of them peaceful.
Now, let's talk about drummers, metal drummers. You guys, I have yet to mention anybody from Black Sabbath, and that's who I'm going to mention here. His name is Bill Ward, and oh my God, this guy is just groundsbreaking. Bill Ward is a totally badass drummer. One of the things that I found out about him is that he was often the subject of some really, really hardcore pranks within the band. He, at one point, was set on fire. Like the guitar player had like jokingly said, "Hey, I'm gonna set you on fire, Bill." And Bill's like, "Nah, not right now." And then like as they're like leaving the studio, Bill Ward's like, "Would you like to set me on fire now?" And then he's like, "Oh, okay." And then he like sets the guy on fire. Anyway, he ended up wearing a bunch of polyester, so it ended up like giving him like, you know, third-degree burns. It was pretty hardcore. There was another prank that I read about where Bill Ward was passed out after a night of cavorting and drinking and drug use, and they decided to just paint him with gold paint. I mean, he was like naked and drunk, and apparently the gold paint had clogged up a lot of his pores, and like his skin couldn't breathe, and he ended up having to be hospitalized for it. I mean, just what insane stories that happened in and out of Black Sabbath, and Bill Ward being like kind of the subject of some of that. But I mean, beyond this kind of strange comical nature, the guy's abilities as a drummer are just absolutely insane. Bill Ward is amazing. Yes. Next, question number 5. There will be leather, spikes, chains, fangs, and blood. Name one of your favorite literary themes, and then name a book that did it very well. I've already talked about some themes already in this here tag. I talked about how I like anti-war themes and the inevitability of death kind of themes and that kind of stuff. But I'm going to tell you one theme that I've always enjoyed is is like nature versus civilization, like the wild versus the civilized. I've always enjoyed that theme in stories. You know, when like you got your Gilgamesh with the wild man and the civilized king coming together. You know what I mean? That kind of theme. And one of the books that I've read that I think does it brilliantly and in such a way that I just eat it up very much how much I like Robert E. Howard, and that is Edgar Rice Burroughs' Tarzan. Tarzan is like one of my favorite like hero characters that Edgar Rice Burroughs ever created. It's probably one of his most famous as far as Edgar Rice Burroughs is concerned, but Tarzan is wonderful, and it turned into this huge series of books. I've only read a few of them, but I've enjoyed every single one of them. It's always about people just kind of underestimating this wild man and him just being a complete and total badass. He's brilliant and he's strong and his instincts are sharp. It's just an amazing kind of hero character, this kind of peak human who steps in and out of both worlds, right? Yeah, kind of like a Mowgli character from the Jungle Book, except it's Tarzan, and he's a great hero. Edgar Rice Burroughs is a wonderful pulp author as well. Like, his adventure stories are just spot on, man. Spot on. Nice. There's not 2 parts to that particular question, and there's not 2 parts to question number 6. And question number 6, prompt number 6 is, our manager carries a battle axe, and he'll either shake your hand or kick you in your face. Prompt, name a book with one of your favorite moments where 2 characters, be they friends or enemies or otherwise, come together, when they meet, when some sort of conflict has come to a head. So let's name one of those particular moments. And I'm going to go back old school, man. And I'm going to talk about the meeting of 2 hardcore characters, and that is Bigwig and General Woundwort from Watership Down by Richard Adams. I love this book, and it's one of those books that I have wanted to feature somewhere on one of my tags, and I've just never found like the right spot for it. And I know it's kind of weird. It's like this anthropomorphic rabbit, you know, conflict. But I mean, the themes in this particular book are so heavy, and it's done so well. And these 2 characters, like, there was a lot of, I was invested greatly in both of them. I actually named my little dog Bigwig. Bigwig. That's my dog. And General Woundwort was such a frightening character. And I credit a lot the cartoon that came out in the 70s and 80s that I watched, and it made me read the book. And maybe I had some of those dark images in my head, but the dark images that were in my head were totally metal, and it was all rabbits.
I told you once I was trying to impress you. I hope I have.
And I told you that I would kill you myself. There's no white bird here, Bigwig.
Dark death rabbits, the black rabbit of Inlay, and Elahela, the god rabbit, and Frith, the son above. I mean, it's such a wonderful bit of rabbit folklore that's built into this book. I think it is probably the best work I ever read by Richard Adams. I only ever read one other book, and that was Plague Dogs. And I thought Watership Down was way better, hands down. Watership Down is probably one of my favorite books of all time. And Bigwig and Woundwort having that battle in the Warren during the escape of the dog. I mean, it was so much going on, so much blood, so much carnage. It was incredibly metal, and it had rabbits. Yes! Awesome. You guys, I've just come to the end of my first tag, the heavy metal tag, part 1, the band. So now I just need to tag a whole bunch of people. And so we're going to be tagging people here in the burning inferno of the tag zone. I'd like to tag Nicole from Nicole's Bookish Nook. I would like to tag Bad is Rad 2. I'd like to tag Bookish Chass. I'd like to tag David from David's Book Reviews. I'd like to tag Vix over at Goddess of Gore. Cliff from Cliff Dark Gems. Chris from Chris Reviews. And Gareth from Books, Songs, and Other Magic. I'd also like to tag J. Creighton Smith, Mason in the Dark, and Rambling Collector. I'd also like to tag Amalyrical. I know you haven't been doing tags lately, but I did your metal tag and it was totally awesome. I would also like to tag Rachel from Shades of Orange. Hell yeah, those are the tags. Let's get back to the world of less burning. Yeah, okay, now that's all the tags I'm going to do right now. And cool, so I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I know I had a really good time making it and rocking out and talking about metal, talking about books. It's 2 of my favorite things combined into one video. We will see you next time here at the Art of R. Ciao.
Don't touch me,